What's up, comic book fans? And welcome to Comics Icons. Now, JJ, what they call me. And today, we got more Fall of the House of X. This time with Miss Marvel Mutant Menace, issue number 2. And the first issue of this series took us on a pretty fun ride with Kamala still learning to deal with being a mutant. And this issue continues to do more of the same, with the return of a classic X-Men villain. And if you guys missed that first one, or you just need to get reacquainted, then I place a card at the top of the screen right now to the playlist and a link at the end of the video. But when we left off with that issue, Miss Marvel had gotten randomly teleported away to a Lila Cheney concert by Lila Cheney herself while she was in the middle of an encounter with the women of horticulture. So if you guys are ready to find out why it was that Miss Marvel got teleported away anyway, then you guys know what time it is. Let's get it. So this issue starts off with Lila Cheney telling the story of opening night on Mojo World. She got an offer from Mojo to stream her concert there to kickstart his live content marathon. And in exchange, he would sponsor her whole tour, so she accepted. But after her performance, the crowd and the numbers were so big that Mojo didn't want her to leave. He offered for her to stay and play another show, but Lila Cheney is already booked across the galaxy. But Mojo doesn't take too kindly to being turned down. On his world, you do as he says, and he says you play more. But Lila decided to leave anyway and just teleported away. But at her next few shows, she started to notice empty crowds. That spineless wart stole her lunatics. That's the name of her loyal fan club, and perhaps the most reliable presence in her life. The show couldn't go on until she found them. So she went to Earth looking for some X-Men help, but they were nowhere to be found. Then she noticed the news, and humans sure do spend an awful lot of time obsessing about mutants, which reminds her of a stalker that she once had. But she was beginning to think she was the only one left until she found the Mutant Watch app, which led her to Miss Marvel. Then we transition to Lila's private Dyson sphere out in space as she's telling this story to Miss Marvel, catching her up on why she's there. So after Miss Marvel acknowledges her and her friends' fandom towards Lila, Lila asks Miss Marvel about the rest of the X-Men and what happened to the survivors of the Hellfire Gala. But Miss Marvel lets her know that they've been in hiding, which is what Miss Marvel should actually be doing right now too. Then Lila finds her Mojo pod and tells Miss Marvel that with the X-Men missing, Mojo's left without his beloved stars. He's not just hungry, he's starved for ratings. Then she leaves Miss Marvel perplexed when she asks how she feels about leather. Then we pick up with Dr. Gaia, and she's on a boat out on the Atlantic Ocean receiving an inbound package. But then we don't really go back to her anymore, so I'm guessing that this is something that's building up to something big later on in the series. But back at Mojo, Lila and a rock star disguised Miss Marvel show up, much to the surprise of Mojo. But before Mojo walks up, Lila quickly lets Miss Marvel know to use their comms if they get split up. And she reminds her that Mojo doesn't know that she's an X-Men. So unless she wants to end up enslaved there as his puppet, they gotta keep it that way. Then as Mojo approaches, Lila tells him that she's here to make things right. So she offers to make a music video. It's exactly what her album needs. And who better to direct it than an auteur such as himself? And she's also brought her friend Cord with. She's very famous on Earth. Think voice of Sinatra, Queen Bee with a dash of Bowie. A feature from her, and your viewership will be through the roof, in the clouds. Doesn't that get your mojo rising? Then Mojo tells Lila that if she tries to pull any stunts on him, there won't be a Lila Cheney tour. Instead, just a 20-second memorial clip on his midnight talk show. So very shortly after, we pick up with Lila and Cord making this music video, and Lila is purposefully fumbling her lines. Then after 15 takes, she requests a bathroom break and walks off the set. Meanwhile, as Lila is gone, Cord offers to help with freshening up the script a bit, and it really starts to irritate Mojo, who then starts to feel like Lila's been gone for too long, and he calls for some security to make sure she's not up to anything. But Cord makes him hold off on that because Lila's having lady troubles. And she can handle some off-script stuff for a while for the cameras. So that's exactly what she does until she begins to have another one of those spasms that's been bothering her. And she's really hoping nobody noticed that one. But then she gets a call on the comms from Lila, and she's found them. She's found her lunatics. And apparently Mojo's been using them as his real-life engagement bots. That's harsh, y'all. But also kind of a cold-blooded plan on Mojo's part. If the person that boosted his ratings won't stay and keep playing his venue, then take her audience instead and to keep the ratings up. Diabolical. But back with Miss Marvel, aka Cord, and against what she had hoped, Mojo absolutely noticed her spasm. And he's like, who are you? And what was that? So the first thing that Miss Marvel could think of was to tell Mojo that those were his special effects. But at the same time, Major Domo checks the ratings and lets Mojo know that it seems the younger foreign domestic demographic is feeling Cord. She's getting comments like, not gonna lie, Bestie's low-key out here serving. And Sis ate and left no crumbs. And Pop Off Queen. And I don't know, Cord just hits different. And I'm just gonna say this now, that was definitely Iman Vellani writing those lines. It sounds just like her. But of course, this information just greases Mojo's gears. He's got a star on his hands now. And he grabs the mic and he tells his fans that they're broadcasting live with unlimited Cord cinematics, only on his MIJ network. So now Cord's doing everything from solo sessions with the viewers to eating and advertising Mojo Froyo. And she tries to reach out to Lila on the comms for help, but Lila has her hands busy right now because she's been caught by Spiral. Or apparently Spiral 42 now, to be exact, because she's a clone named by multiples of 6. But Lila is able to gain the upper hand when she gets a hold of a guitar and cracks Spiral 42 across the head with it. Meanwhile, Cord is still rocking Mojo's audience when she and Lila get the idea via comms to try waking up the lunatics from the state of hypnosis that they're all stuck in. So Cord begins to sing Lila's songs, and it works, as Lila's lunatics start to wake up and delete their Mojo apps. But then Lila is caught when Mojo walks in on her. And then he goes in on the attack, but Lila's got this covered, and she manages to wrap a microphone cord around Mojo's neck. Then she tells him that she's getting out of here, her and her people. And my axe, chimes in Miss Marvel, who also shows up while shifting her arms in the axis. But Mojo wants no parts of this smoke, and with a self-righteous attitude, powers, and that lame outfit, he recognizes an X-Men when he sees one. But when Lila tells Mojo that it's over, he snaps, and he tells Lila that her tour is officially canceled, and then he pokes her in the neck with his stinger. It's called Blight's Wheel, he tells her, and it ain't cheap. So if you don't like it, keep it to yourself or you'll hurt mine. Then Miss Marvel bounces him right out the window as he finishes that statement. Feelings! Then Miss Marvel comes to the aid of Lila and helps her up. And Lila tells her that they've got to get out of there quick before she's grounded by that Blight's Wheel. Then Lila drops the line that you always get from an X-Men comic, which she calls a fan club. To me, my lunatics. But after they're all teleported back to Lila's Dyson sphere, she fills in Miss Marvel about Blight's Wheel. It dulls mutant powers, and she can already feel it taking effect, but she's got just enough juice to send Miss Marvel back to Earth. But unfortunately for the rest of the lunatics, they've got to hold tight for a while until the Blight's Wheel wears off, but it could take a bit. But her fans got no problem with that. They tell her that it'll be like they've won a contest, and they get to spend time with her. This will make all their friends jealous. But then we transition back to Jersey City, and Lila's dropped off Miss Marvel, and she thanks her for helping out. But Miss Marvel thanks her back, because she's a fan too, and this is a fan experience that she'll never forget. Then after Lila leaves, Miss Marvel is almost let down to be back home. But all that changes very quickly when she's met by Red Dagger, And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of the issue. So what are you guys thinking about this Miss Marvel series so far? And how do you guys like Iman Vellani as a writer? Plus, how do you like her fit as MCU Miss Marvel? I think this has been a fun series so far myself. Nothing to be taken too seriously, I think. And it was cool seeing Mojo since he's been a classic character. And we had him on the X-Men 97 series recently too, so that's always cool when the timing lines up like that. But what do you guys think is going on with all those spasms that she's been having? Do you think that her mutant abilities will be revealed by the end of the series? I hope so. I'm wondering if they'll give her more light-based powers like her MCU counterpart. But as always, if you guys enjoyed this video and this channel, and you'd like to support the channel, then you could do so by joining the Iconic Fan Club channel membership. And there'll be a link in the description to join. But with your membership, you'll gain access to weekly interactive live streams with yours truly, where we could talk about everything that's been going down in these issues, as well as ones that you'd like for me to go over in the future, and other comic book news. Plus, you guys will get loyalty badges, member shout-outs, and more in these videos. Or you can donate to the channel with a super thanks. And if you're not able to do that, then you can also help by dropping a like, share, and subscribe in the comics icons for more icons in the comic book world. But ladies and gentlemen, it's about that time. I'm out. Peace.